time for an oil change on our 2018 Polaris RZR XP 1000, so stick around, I'll take you through the entire process. What's going on, adventurers? My name's Travis and welcome back to another project. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through an oil change on our 2018 Polaris RZR XP 1000 you can see here behind me. Now, Polaris recommends doing an oil change every 50 hours, and let me tell you, we did a ton in the last 50 hours. 50 hours goes by extremely fast, but it's really important to get these oil changes done. It'll ensure the longevity of your engine for years to come. Now, if you're new to the channel, we are all about projects that add adventure to your life. So anything that gets you up off the couch and out the door on your next adventure. If you haven't already, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate the support. So what are the things you're going to need for this project? Number one, you're gonna need an oil catch pan. So anything that can hold over 3 quarts. I always like to get them with a little bit of a lip here. Just makes it a little easier for cleanup when you're dumping the oil into another container at the end. Next up is just a regular old funnel. Anything that you can pick up at your hardware store will do. Then the most important thing is picking up some oil and a new filter. Polaris makes these oil change kits for all their machines, and I highly recommend picking up one of these. They're so easy. It has all the oil and the correct filter for your machine. So when you open up one of these oil kits here, you'll end up getting a filter for your machine, and then all the oil that you'll need. So we need about 2.5 quarts, and it comes with 2.5 quarts. That's why these oil change kits are so handy. You just have absolutely everything that you need. Finally, you're going to need yourself an oil filter wrench. Now, the filters on the RZR are quite a bit smaller than something that you'd find like on my pickup truck. So we had to get a specific oil filter wrench just for this. Easiest way is just take this oil filter from your oil change kit, go to your local hardware store and just find one that will fit it. Otherwise, one of the smallest options that you can see when there's different sizes of oil filter wrenches will probably do the trick. I'll throw a link in the description below so it's easy to put together an oil change setup for your RZR. Finally, one more thing that's really handy to have is a maintenance manual. So you can pick these up at your local Polaris dealership. They're specific to the different models of your machine, and they are so handy. Doing things like this and more complicated maintenance procedures on your side-by-side. It has everything you'll need to know in here. So while it's not a must, I highly recommend picking up one of these manuals. So let's jump in and get the oil change on this machine. So the first thing we need to do is drain our engine oil. There's a drain plug located below the engine at the rear of the RZR. Now, one thing that's really important and I want to touch on before we do that is making sure you get the correct drain plug. It's really easy to get mixed up when you're under there because there's just the skid plate with a couple holes in it and the drain plugs. It's easy to get mixed up between the engine oil drain plug and the transmission drain plug. Now, Polaris has done something really handy to help us out. The engine oil is a 6mm Allen key head. The transmission oil is an 8mm. Now I unfortunately had to learn this the hard way the first time I changed the oil, so make sure you grab your 6mm Allen head when you head down there to make sure you pull the correct drain plug. Another easy way to remember is your transmission drain plug is further back on the machine than the engine oil one. So when you look at the engine is a little further forward. So when you get under there, the drain plug for the engine oil will be further forward. That hole right there in the center of the screen, that is where the transmission drain plug is. So if you go a little bit forward and off to the side, this one here, this is where the engine oil comes out of. So it's slightly to the passenger side and a little further forward. So while that drains, we can undo the oil filter. There is an access panel in the back seat here. I find the easiest way to do it is remove the back seats. So you can see this access panel here. If we remove it, look in, you can see the oil filter. It's right about there, so it's really easy to access. I like to stuff a bunch of paper towel below the oil filter. That way when I remove it, you don't have a bunch of oil leaking down the inside of your engine. So I've got our oil filter wrench on the end of our socket here. I like this style because it's a little easier to get in as opposed to the band style. Quite a bit of oil comes out of that oil filter, so it really helps having that paper towel there. You still might have to do a little bit of cleanup. Now with the new oil filter, I just dipped my finger in our oil pan there, and you just want to put a little bit of oil on the gasket before you put it into the machine. This just helps prevent that gasket from getting locked on, and then the next time you go to take it off, it'll just be a nightmare. You might have to pull this gasket off. So if you just put a little bit of oil on there, it won't seize. Now to thread this oil filter on, you just want to spin it freely until the gasket is just starting to contact the engine, and then you want to do 3/4 of a turn past that. So before reinserting the drain plug, the oil change kit comes with a drain plug washer. So you want to make sure you replace that washer before you reinsert the drain plug. Now you can replace the drain plug. You do not need to reef on this. You just have to get it snug. Now the maintenance manual calls for 12 foot-pounds. I'm going to use a torque wrench here. If you don't have one, 12 foot-pounds isn't a ton, so you don't want to be reefing on this. You just want to have it in there snug. So now that we've got the drain plug and oil filter replaced, we can fill up the engine with fresh oil. You'll have to excuse the mess. We were going through a ton of pine trees on our last adventure, so the box of this thing is filled with pine needles. To access the filler neck for the engine, you have to remove this access panel here in the box of the RZR. You can see the filler port right here. It's pretty dirty, so I'm just going to take a little bit of brake cleaner and a fresh towel, clean it up a little bit. So now we have to add 2.5 quarts of oil for this RZR XP 1000. That's the nice part about getting the oil change kit. It comes with perfectly 2.5 quarts. Now that the razor is filled up with fresh oil, you need to start and run your razor for about 30 seconds. This will circulate the oil and fill up the brand new oil filter. Once you're done running your machine for 30 seconds, you want to take a good look, make sure that there's no leaks around your oil filter or drain plug. So we're just here on the passenger side of the razor, and your oil dipstick is on this side. So after removing it, you can give it a good wipe down and then replace it and lock it into place. Now you can pull it out and check your oil level. So you can see the two dots, you've got your low and safe level there, and ours is sitting right at the safe level. Now you can replace your dipstick and lock it in. So we're all finished up with our oil change on our 2018 Polaris RZR XP 1000. All that's left to do now is get this thing cleaned up, buttoned up, and we're done. The nice part with using these Polaris RZR oil change kits is they come with the perfect amount of oil, so on the other end you have the perfect amount of space to put your old oil into. Once you drain your oil into the old oil containers, you can take it into your nearest disposal site or eco center. If you've changed oil on other vehicles, you can see this is much the same process. If this is your first time doing any of this, it's a really easy thing you can do, and it gives you the opportunity to get to know your machine just a little bit better. So if you like this video, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. We'd be really appreciative of the support. We're gonna have a lot more projects with this razor. If you have any questions about this oil change or just any other general razor questions, please post a comment below. So that's it for this project, but I hope to see you back again here really soon for another adventure project.